Even if, as a teen, you recognized that the story of the Hunger Games was not centered around a teen love triangle, you probably still were, naturally, drawn in by it, in addition to everything else. I know I was. Then the older you get, the more you reread it, the less you really care about that aspect. The more the true horror of it all becomes apparent as you see those in real life that hold some sort of position of power or influence, such as politicians and celebrities, become strikingly similar to the people of the Capitol. As I grew out of my teen hormones, I took pride in my slow distancing from the childish obsession with the love interests of Katniss Everdeen, despite the fact that I knew it was only natural to want to analyze and find good and bad traits for a future spouse within those characters. That pride led me to overlook something quite obvious, something that in the midst of finding all this terrifying depth, should have been the first thing I studied, and that is the symbolism of Peeta and Gale Hawthorne. Hey y'all, I'm the Geek Apprentice and welcome to the 4th annual Hunger Games month. If you would like to know how I got into the Hunger Games and why November is Hunger Games month specifically, then you may torture your eyes and ears by watching this really old video of mine which explains it. The entire reason I avoided the Hunger Games for as long as I did was because I was under this false impression that it was nothing more than a teenage love story pretending to be something deeper. You know, like Twilight. Shots fired. I was wrong, painfully so. First of all, there's nothing wrong with there being a little bit of a love story within the bigger picture. Second, these two characters obviously have a bigger symbolic role to play. And the only reason I haven't touched on it until now, 4 years into this Hunger Games month thing, is for reasons previously stated. I wanted to separate myself from the love story, even though it's so key and so crucial, but not for the hormonal teenage reasons one might think. I would say it is arguable that even someone who has only experienced the films, which are admittedly pretty good, can infer what the symbolism is. At least on a surface level, and probably just that. Because, as per the nature of their respective forms of media, the books provide far more insight and richer depth. So, on the surface, what do we have? Gale is rebellious, the fighter. Peeta is conflict-averse, the peacemaker. Films only, no insight to Katniss's mind, lacking certain key moments, and it's only just that. Katniss seemingly choosing between peace and war, but that's not the case. Not exactly. Not entirely. They are actually two sides of the same coin, both desiring in light of the story the same outcome. Peace. They just go about it in seemingly opposing ways. Like I said, these two do actually want the same thing. They see the injustice, the terror, the horror, and they know it needs to end. However, the roles each play are different and equally as important. Before I went into the specifics of what each represented, I needed to answer a very key question. Why are they symbolic in the first place? From a literary standpoint, what is the intention behind making these characters anything more than love interests? Because if that's all they were, as adults, we would grow very nauseous of the teen hormonal romance, wouldn't we? We would. So where did that leave me? Katniss. Their main purpose is Katniss. Though, yes, they are each their own well-rounded characters as well. But each character in a story serves the purpose of causing the change, pushing forward the character arc of the main character. They are her love interests, but not merely. Hence, their symbolism is in direct reference to her. They are symbolic of the inward struggle within our protagonists. Rebel with fighting, or find peace through means that avoid conflict. Right from the get-go, Katniss is all for Gale, even if not in a romantic way. They share strong rebellious thoughts, ones they could never voice in safety, except in the confidentiality of each other. Yet still, Katniss even from the beginning of the first book is struggling with this. She's learned to say nothing, not just for safety, but also because simply voicing her anger doesn't change anything. Gale represents the fire within her to fight back, and she starts with volunteering in place of her sister Prim. Not saying rebellion was her purpose, not in the slightest, but she had the fire in her to let her love for her sister take priority. Throughout the trilogy, but more specifically in the final book, Gale is always encouraging Katniss in this way, wanting her to embrace her role as the Mockingjay so that she can encourage the districts to rise up and fight back. Fighting back. That's what he wants. And kind of what Katniss wants too. Then we have Peeta, the smooth talker. I'll admit there was a short period of time where his way with words worried me. The fact that he could sway people so smoothly with his words, it made him sound like a politician. But we know he's not, that he's genuine, which is a rarity. Funny enough, playing to my point earlier, Peeta never discourages or tells Katniss that she shouldn't be a fighter, that she shouldn't be the Mockingjay, barring when his brain was being hijacked. He thinks it's great that she's inspiring change, even if he's still a little bit wary of his role. But also to that point, he knows that's not how he's helpful. He's fought back a few times, but Peeta's just not the type to go looking for fights. Not that Gale necessarily does, but it's different. The role Peeta plays for Katniss is as an alternative. Until her experiences with Peeta leading up to and during the games, aside from the bread and the dandelion, she's only known fight or flight, not whatever Peeta offers. Hope? Hope. Something quite foreign to Katniss, as is peace, something else she's never seen much of. Now, is one better than the other? The simple answer is no, but it's not up to us, is it? It's up to Katniss. Think about it. Gale alone, she would never have had quite the same character arc, and it would not have been as rich. Part of what saved her, was the dandelion in the spring. It saved her when she and her family were on the brink of starvation. It saved her in the games, yes, it did save her, and it saved her when she wanted to save it, all this tied in with her own natural fire. And she makes it clear as day in the end. Gale is all fire, and she has enough of that herself. What she needs is the dandelion in the spring. She's already the fire, the fighter, and the rebel, but to rebel isn't enough. Not that Gale didn't have hope, but sometimes his motivation seemed to be nothing more than revenge, which is understandable. But with Katniss already being the fire, she needed something complementary. Perhaps a more poetic way of putting it is this. Katniss is the justice, Peeta the mercy. You must have both. So in the end, it actually isn't a matter of Katniss saying words are better than fighting back with your fists. It's her saying that fighting isn't enough. Justice alone isn't enough. You need both justice and mercy. Everyone has a role to play in the act of rising up against tyranny. Some will fight physically, some will inspire hope with their words. And you can actually accomplish both with both. You can inspire people by fighting back, and you can fight with your words. Both are needed. Gale symbolizes what happens when your need to fight, rebel, avenge, get justice goes on a rampage and is all you've got. Peeta, teamed up with Katniss, who is similar to Gale but knows there needs to be something else, symbolizes the both and side of rising up against wrongs. Yes, use your words, but at a certain point, you can't be a pushover anymore. Mercy and justice. Thank you all so much for watching. This was just my take on the symbolism of Gale and Peeta in reference to Katniss and her character arc. I thought it would be far simpler, but as soon as I started rereading and writing, it definitely was not. I could also be overanalyzing, but I digress. I can tell you too that I am looking forward to a more decent amount of Hunger Games videos for this year's Hunger Games month. I think I usually have about 2 and maybe a singing video, but this year I have already 4 in the works, so hopefully I actually get them done. I have a crazy schedule. I also know that my Hunger Games videos as of late have really risen in popularity, so to those of you who are just joining the channel in the past few months and wondered if I was ever gonna do those Hunger Games videos again, I hope you're excited. If you did enjoy this video, please consider liking it as well as joining the geekdom by subscribing. You can also follow me over on Instagram at The Geek Apprentice for more content. As always, thank you so much to each of my patrons, especially those in the highly end tier, Joking Batman and Code and Data. Y'all's support is amazing, and it was especially helpful last month when I went through surgery and had to take off work for about a week and a half. Yeah, that was a little bit freaky to have to take off work for that long, but with y'all's support, I felt a little bit more at peace, so thank you very, very much. But anyway, that's all for today. Happy Hunger Games month. May the odds be ever in your favor.